Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League playoffs first leg. We are back with our favorite competition, and this is a knockout stage, so even much more fun, of course. And we have Ronan Murphy. Hello, Ronan, Alain, Valnegri to give us the best tips in this Tuesday, in this Wednesday. So stay with us. Already some comments even from South Korea, from a movie set. Imagine how cool could be that. So let's learn what to bet on this week in the Champions League. Remember, guys, of course, post your tips and let me know what you think in the comment section. And now let's go on with the show. Four games on Tuesday, 4 games on Wednesday, and we have an early kickoff on Tuesday in Istanbul. Galatasaray, Juventus. I could see trouble here. I think this is a good tie. This could be a good tie. We have a Juventus coming back from a defeat in the Derby d'Italia against Inter, but they did play well, did compete, even if they played with 10 men since Kalulu was sent off for a stupid challenge in the first half, and they were also coming from conceded another 2 goals with Lazio, but this Juventus is being gone for the European royalty for some years, and they want to be again in the latest stages of the Champions League, although, Alain, I guess it's going to be difficult to first to win here, then to reach even the quarterfinals of this competition, even if the team has improved under Spalletti. Could you see travel here? Do you see value in these odds with Galatasaray? 3.6 for Galatasaray, or the double chance is not bad. We are talking about the top of the Turkish league.
I see a value for many reasons. First, Galatasaray lose only one game at home this season. It was against Union Saint-Gilloise. In my opinion, was a classical crash day for Galatasaray, because except of this game, we saw a really strong team. Right now, Galatasaray start to play with Icardi and Osimhen, both. And Icardi was at the beginning. Icardi suffered a long injury, and right now Icardi is fit. And Icardi against Juventus means goal, because the record about Icardi when he played in Sampdoria or in Inter, the average of goal is really high against a really strong Juventus. This Juventus concede a lot. I was in the stadium Saturday for the Inter Juve, and yes, in the second half, Juve, in every game, we can analyze since Spalletti arrived to the bench, the team concede. The team concede is true in change. The team create more than the team with Tudor, but in defense they concede. Galatasaray is offensive powder. I think Lang is a very good signing for the Istanbul team in change. Juventus have bad memory about Istanbul in 2013 when Galatasaray put off Juventus in a snow day in Istanbul, where Conte was the manager. Galatasaray, in my opinion, are not favorite, but is more balanced than the odds. For that reason, I choose double chance 1x with both team to score, because Juve create a lot, odds 2.70.
It's also our smart bet, going for the double chance for this game alone is 1.8. You mentioned Icardi and Osimhen, 13 goals for the Argentinian in the Turkish league, and 9 for the Nigerian. Ronan, could you see also trouble in this improved Juventus, but still, I think is so far away from the good days, of course, of 𝐬𝐵CCA.
Yeah, I think what Alain said is right. This Juventus team, they're probably more entertaining to watch, but they're not necessarily better. to watch. I think they're conceding too many goals. They have no wins in their last 3, and the match that Alain was at the weekend, obviously a cracking match, but Juventus came out the wrong side of a 5-goal game. They came away with nothing against Inter. So this is an Juventus team that are giving up too many chances, and Icardi and Osimhen, they're scoring plenty of chances. They're taking plenty of chances. This Galatasaray team are scoring lots of goals themselves. They have 3 or more goals in their last 3 games. So they are in a great run at the moment. They're scoring plenty of goals. And yeah, you're looking at what Alain has said, look what the smart bet is saying. The smart bet, it's giving 5 stars to a double chance. It's giving 4 stars to a Galatasaray win. I really like the odds of a Galatasaray win in this one, because we know what Istanbul is like to go to. Juventus know what Istanbul is like to go to. It's a very difficult place to get any points from. So Galatasaray win, like, the odds are very appealing. You would think they would be a bit closer than that 3.63. I really like that one, but yeah, I'm going with the smart bet, actually. The 5-star double chance 1x. I really like it. I think 177 is a good option there too.
Juve were robbed against Inter, and they played good. Indeed, the second yellow card is a bit strict, although Kalulu was really clumsy. Draw is also possible. I think this tie should be decided in Torino next week, but let's see. It's very important for Juventus, I think, to at least reach the last 16 round in the Champions League. Then we have a French tie in Monaco. PSG, if you remember last season, we also have an all-French tie in this round. It was Brest PSG, and it was easy peasy for PSG. And we are seeing a really poor season for Monaco in the Ligue 1. But funny enough, they beat PSG some weeks ago. And last weekend or last Friday, they were able also to beat Nantes and finish with the awful run. And with PSG, we are seeing some warning sounds. Dembélé actually raised his voice after the defeat against Rennes on Friday. The team is second in the league, but so far, when this team has to perform, Ronan, they are performing. That's why I would take PSG to win, but the odds are quite low, actually, 1.6.
Yeah, I think if you look at last season, you mentioned the all-French tie that they had at the same round last season. That was kind of where PSG's season last season really kicked into gear, and they really became the PSG that we came to see at the end of the season going on to win the Champions League. So I think we could see the same. Maybe history is going to repeat itself. I don't think they're going to win 10-0 over the 2 legs like they did against Brest last season, but I think they are a better side than Monaco. I know Monaco won 1-0 in November, like you were saying, but PSG have won 12 of the last 20 meetings between these 2 sides. So history is definitely on their side there. I love the Opta supercomputer, and of the teams that haven't qualified for the last 16, PSG have the best chance to win the competition, according to the Opta supercomputer. 5.1% chance to win the Champions League outright this season. And obviously the supercomputer is going with the teams that have already qualified as the favourites, but they are the favourites with the bookies too. Arsenal, Bayern, Man City, Liverpool are the only teams ahead of them, and I think PSG, they can't be ruled out as being back-to-back Champions League winners, because they have a fantastic squad. If their squad can do the same as they did last season and hit the ground running, or this is where they come into their best form at the end of the season. And I think that's why we probably saw that result at the weekend, the disappointing result at the weekend for them. I think they are looking at the Champions League. They want to qualify for the next round. They probably wanted to put to bed in the first leg, and this Monaco team in the Champions League, they haven't been that impressive. They've only kind of scraped into the playoffs. They only scored 8 goals in the league phase. PSG, on the other hand, they scored 21. PSG won all 3 games they played against Monaco last season. They won 4-2 away and won 4-1 at home in the league. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be 10-0 over 2 legs like last season, but I do think PSG can win here. 161 looks good, but I think they can win by more than 1 goal. So I like even more PSG Asian handicap -1 at 193.
I don't know, but I can't fully trust PSG. David is telling us, Alain, are you seeing some warning lights in some games with PSG this season?
In my opinion, it was an accident in Rennes. The focus is to win the second Champions League consecutive. We saw that in Coupe de France. We saw that sometimes the team are not so focused to the game. Now, against Monaco is always strange games because historically in France is the black cat for Paris Saint-Germain, Monaco. The fact is in the last 7 only 1 win in Monaco for PSG, and the most doubt are in Monaco. Monaco is a really strange season for Monaco because since the beginning of the season we saw some very good game against Manchester City, against PSG, but we saw the worst version of Monaco. A lot of weekend in France. Right now, the question is which Monaco will be see for this game. In my opinion, Monaco will be competitive in this game, but PSG in champions, I trust in them. I wait PSG really intense since the beginning of the game. Try to score quickly, put pressure to Monaco, force Monaco to attack, to open space to play in transition. For that reason, I choose a really risky odds. I choose over 1.75 goals in the first half, odds 2.69.
James is telling us PSG to win. If we check the head-to-head between these two teams, 20 games played in the last 9 years, 12 wins for PSG, 5 for Monaco, which is not that bad, actually, considering it's against PSG. We could expect, I think, Monaco to be more competitive than Brest last year. Last season, Brest didn't have a chance, actually, against PSG. Perhaps we see a little bit more competition between these two French teams. Then we have Benfica, Real Madrid, deja vu, because we saw this game in the last game of the Champions League, the last match day, and was a crazy game, absolutely crazy game. Remember, Benfica needed a miracle to qualify. At the end, Trubin scored, the goalkeeper, from a header. Real Madrid needed a disaster not to be in the top 8, and they were really a disaster. The second defeat only under Arbeloa. Since then, I think Real Madrid have improved a little bit in La Liga, chasing Barcelona, still Arbeloa trying to find the best 11. We didn't see Mbappe at the weekend, but he should be ready for this game, and the team looks slightly solid, or more solid compared to what we saw, especially in Duluth. Alain, I guess it's difficult to see Real Madrid committing again the same mistakes as they did in Duluth. I think they were too offensive, too reckless in that game, and now they are going to be more cautious, respecting much more Mourinho's men. By the way, probably was the best game of Benfica this season, the one they played against Real Madrid.
But after this game, in the last 7 games with Arbeloa, the only defeat is against Benfica. And in Benfica, after the Benfica game, he changed the system. Now we play with 2 strikers, clearly. And I think that one, the team is more compact. They can manage better the phase of no possession. And we see a team create more, because the 3 game against Rayo, in Valencia, and especially against Real Sociedad, we saw a Real Madrid really productive in offensive way, and that one must to the way, because when you have that type of squad, you must to find the balance without the ball, to be more productive when to recover the ball. And I see a clear improvement about the Real Madrid. I don't know if the player was against Xabi Alonso, something passed, because we understand another attitude in Madrid right now, and that will make the difference for the rhythm, for the collective perspective, and we saw a better version. Probably in Lisbona, Mourinho can be surprised about this version of Real Madrid. Benfica still in the same way. They are third in Portuguese league, out of Portuguese Cup. They lose the League Cup. Now there are 2 challenges. First, try to catch Sporting. Sporting is 3 points up, and that means Champions League spot. And in Champions League, do the best things. in my opinion, is hardest to do the good things in Champions League. In my opinion, Real Madrid is really favorite. I can't imagine Real Madrid fail 2 times in 1 month in Lisbona. For that reason, I choose Real Madrid winning odds 1.95.
An important addition to be more creative in offensive phase, Alain, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He was very good with Real Sociedad, and he creates other spaces with the ball. Bellingham is injured, and I think it's also important that he's not in the pitch. And Arda Güler is not doing a bad job, but still, Ronan, a lot of deficiencies in defense for this Real Madrid. Asensio, by the way, is suspended, and Huijsen is a disaster. So perhaps also the both teams to score or Real Madrid to concede should be on the cards.
Yeah, I like one of the comments there. 𝐬𝐭𝐴 is saying home, away, and both teams to score. The odds on that must be massive for Benfica to be winning at half time but gone to lose the match. So, yeah, this is one that could be an open game, and I think for that reason, Real Madrid should score plenty of goals here. So the total goals market could be a good option, or Real Madrid total away goals could be a good one here. I haven't specifically looked at them going into this one, but if you just look at the match they played the last time that we were talking about, there were 6 goals in that one. I know Benfica needed that miracle goal at the end, but even before that there was 5 goals in it. So this is one where we're expecting goals, and we're expecting a Real Madrid revenge mission kind of here.
23,
they will have a point to prove. They will, they will want to. Massive. You go for that and see how it goes, see what happens. But you wouldn't be shocked if it happened. But Real Madrid to win at 195, like Alain said, that seems a much better option, a much safer option. And if you look at the way Real Madrid have been playing recently, they're scoring plenty of goals. Like you said, Trent Alexander-Arnold, are we finally seeing the best of him? I've been impressed with kind of what he's giving at the moment, and against Sociedad he was excellent. Obviously, Mbappe was left on the bench in that match. It shows kind of the power that Arbeloa does have in this squad, or is capable of using. And I think maybe they've kind of moved away from this Xabi Alonso being coached and we can't be managed, I don't need a manager kind of approach, and Arbeloa is just letting them do kind of what they're best at, and they're best at being kind of flamboyant and attractive attacking players. And I think that's what we'll see here. Mbappe will be back in the team. He has 13 goals in 7 Champions League games so far this season. Every time he's scored, he's in the Champions League this season, he scored 2 goals or more. So if he did that in the Benfica match the last time, he has done it every time he's scored this season in the Champions League. So I do like the look of Kylian Mbappe to score 2 or more goals at 550 in this match. I think that could work for it. But if you want to be a bit safer, him to score just once is 183. So Kylian Mbappe as an income goal scorer after being rested at the weekend, why not 183?
Well, Arbeloa said he was pretty sure that Mbappe is going to be at 100% for this game after being left on the bench against Real Sociedad. Let's see if Los Blancos have a cautious approach to this game, since they were too open in the game we saw 3-4 weeks ago, and Benfica created so many chances. Apart from the 4 goals, Courtois was very busy that evening. Well, our smart bet tool, by the way, is going for 1x for Benfica as well, which pays exactly the same as Real Madrid to win. So choose your path. And now a very good tie, I would say, is the best in these playoffs, or the one with a really difficult outcome to know is Dortmund Atalanta. We are seeing 2 strong teams in their leagues. Dortmund throughout the season, they are second. They are doing a really good Bundesliga, and they are in a very good run, 6 consecutive wins. And we are seeing 𝐿𝐵RACI scoring lately, and we have Atalanta really improved under Palladino, won in the Olympico against Lazio 2-0 in the last game. Also Cremonese, but we have 2 teams that were a little bit shaky in Europe. We saw Dortmund having poor games against Inter and especially against Tottenham, and also Atalanta had it in their chance to be in the top 8, and they screw it up against Royal Union Saint-Gilloise and Athletic Bilbao. So, Ronan, in Europe, we usually trust Dortmund at home Away is another thing, but also Atalanta is very competitive away from home in Europe. So difficult, in my opinion, to predict. Perhaps goals.
Yeah, we usually go for goals in a Borussia Dortmund match. And you said that this was probably the most even of the ties, and I think that the table itself kind of reflects that, because these are the two teams that were closest to being kind of in the seeded versus unseeded group. It's 15 versus 17 in the league phase table. So these are the teams that are closest matched from that. And when you look at the last time they played in the Europa League, 6 seasons ago, Dortmund won 3-2 at home and drew 1 all away. So that was a high scoring match, like you expect, or high scoring games. Both teams to score as expected, but close matches. That's what they usually play when they play against each other. Borussia Dortmund have been poor in the Champions League in 2026. That goes without saying. They couldn't score against Spurs. They couldn't score against Inter. They lost both of those 2-0. But in the Bundesliga, they've been fantastic this year. Unbeaten in 2026 in the Bundesliga. They've scored 2 or more goals in every game in the Bundesliga that they've played this year. Since the winter break. Their wins over Wolfsburg and Heidenheim were both teams to score, yes. So this is a team that has got its striker scoring in. 𝗀𝗏𝗏 went through a kind of rough patch there before Christmas, but that seems to be in the past now. 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴 Bayer is getting in the goals again, which is good to see. Both teams to score yes here does look a great option at 161, because 52% of the time the Borussia Dortmund have played this season, they've had both teams to score yes. Most of them are away matches, like you said, but because they keep a lot of clean sheets at home in the Bundesliga, but they find it a bit more difficult to keep those clean sheets in the Champions League. So I think it could be both teams to score yes. But I do like Borussia Dortmund continuing that good home form that they have in the league anyway, not necessarily in the Champions League, but they are a very good team at home generally in all competitions. So Dortmund to win and both teams to score yes at 350. I like to look.
Well, really high odds indeed. Alain, how do you see this one? Also tight?
It's a very good test for both, because in my opinion, Borussia Dortmund need cancel the game against Inter at home. In my opinion, Atalanta is really near to Inter. They play a similar football, a similar system, and right now Dortmund is in a very good moment of form. Yes, we saw that against Mainz. They recovered this offensive craziness. I think Kovacs was under the critic for the not poor, but a little selfish offensive football, because he found a balance. And right now against Mainz, we saw electric Borussia Dortmund, and this is a good test for Atalanta, because Atalanta since the beginning of February, the team is brilliant, because catch a draw in Como is difficult. Won 3-0 in Coppa Italia against Juventus, winning in Olympiacos. Yes, probably is the most solid version of Atalanta since Palladino arrived in Bergamo. And yes, it's a team with conscious, and it's a team wanna take a revenge, because in 2018 in Europa League at the same stage, Borussia Dortmund eliminate Atalanta, but the referee was not so objective in that both game. And yes, in Bergamo they wanna take the revenge. It's curious, but this season the best results of Atalanta was away in Champions League, with winning, for example, in Marseille, in Frankfurt, in Saint-Gilloise. I don't take the object in my analysis, because Atalanta don't have chance to stay to the top 8, and was with the mind to prepare the derby against Como. And yes, it's difficult for me to choose 1x2. I choose the market of goal over 2.75 goals, odds 1.88.
I would say in general, Alain, in the last years, where we are seeing Atalanta, right, for the first time in the Champions League, they are competing very well away from Bergamo, and they have more problems at home,
exactly.
which is kind of strange. But Dortmund is the opposite, of course. Is really a strong home team. Really good tie, this Dortmund. Atalanta, our smart bet is predicting under 3.5 goals. Still would be a lot of goals, 1.5 5, but our tipsters go for the opposite, for seeing goals in this tie. Marco is telling us, I see a draw. Rogev also, Dortmund Atalanta to draw, and the odds are very good indeed. It's 3.7 if you go for the draw, since Dortmund are quite favorite. It's true also that Dortmund Inter, there was nothing on stake basically for Dortmund, since they were going directly to the playoffs no matter the result. Next one, this one is really one-sided. On Wednesday we have Qarabag. Newcastle is already a big success in Qarabag in the knockout stages of the Champions League. I think they were also very lucky with the draw. They beat Frankfurt, Benfica in the worst time of the year at the beginning of the season, and Copenhagen to qualify for this round. But for instance, remember that they got 6 at Anfield in the last trip in the Champions League, and we have Newcastle involved in so many competitions. But for instance, this weekend we saw them winning at Villa Park 3-1 at the FA Cup. Also, we saw them competing really well against PSG in the Champions League. So Alain really favored this Newcastle for the tie, and even for this game 1.4.
Yes, really favorite, but Newcastle is one of the most difficult team to predict in Premier League, because yes, we don't saw a continuity since the beginning of the season. We saw very good things, and we saw very, very poor things, and always it is a strike. No, 3, 4, 5 games positive, 3, 4, 5 games negative. It's difficult playing in Qarabag. Every team suffer except Ajax, and it was a surprise, Ajax winning in Qarabag that day. Qarabag was always really competitive against every team, and winning in Lisbona. Yes, right now Newcastle, yes, is really favorite. Newcastle, we saw in Villa Park a solid team. I don't wait. This one, in my opinion, Aston Villa was really favorite, especially when Bruno Guimaraes is out. The midfield in Newcastle suffer a lot and miss balance. No, is a little more horsey crazy. No, with Bruno Guimaraes. No, with the really high rhythm, but not with a really positive balance in defensive way. But in the offensive, we have a lot of runner. Like Tonali, for example, and it's not a case. Tonali scored twice in Villa Park against this Qarabag. Which version we will see about Newcastle? In my opinion, Qarabag can be make suffer Newcastle. Qarabag is a team manage really well the possession of the ball. A lot of quality in the last 30 meter. I choose a surprise for this game. In my opinion, Qarabag can catch a positive result. I choose double chance. 1x odds 2.95.
Wow, it would be indeed a big surprise. I'm sure we are gonna see many Newcastle fans in Baku, even if it's far away from Newcastle, but they are crazy when they travel. Ronan, we've seen Newcastle smashing Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, losing to Marseille in a very tight game where they took the lead, if I'm not wrong, and drawing with Leverkusen and PSG in this Champions League away from home. Would you choose also the surprise? Alain is right, it's a very difficult team to predict in the Premier League indeed.
Yeah, it has, and you kind of look at some of the players that Newcastle have. They're kind of some of the bigger names, or the marquee names they have, are big signings. They haven't performed consistently throughout the season. They're a bit streaky, like Alain was saying. Nick Voltemade had a brilliant start to the season. Then he's been anonymous for the last couple of months. Anthony Gordon is the same. He kind of disappears at times. You kind of wonder where he's gone for a few matches. This is a team that they haven't really found that consistency maybe that we had seen last season that got them into the Champions League, and they really need to do something about that. And I know they have the passionate fan support, like you said, and maybe it's good that they're not traveling to Kazakhstan. They're going to Qarabag instead, because I wouldn't fancy the guys with the shirts off playing in that sort of temperature. But this one shouldn't be as bad with those classic Newcastle fans. But yeah, Qarabag have surprised plenty of teams so far in the competition, and there's no reason to think that maybe Alain could be right with his double chance odds here. I know the Opta supercomputer does not trust in them whatsoever. They give them a 0% chance of winning the Champions League. They have the lowest of any team from the teams that are still left in the tournament. They have the lowest chance of progressing from this round with 9.1%. But there's no reason to think that they can't do something, because they beat Frankfurt and Copenhagen at home in the Champions League already this season. That's why they're here in this round. They drew with Chelsea, so they showed they could do it against an English club. They've scored 2 in each of their home games so far in the Champions League. If you look at what the smart bet is going for, it's going for 5 stars, double chance as well, like Alain has said. It's also looking at a first half draw, which could be an option, 263. It's going for Qarabag to score first at 340. I like all of those. I think maybe they might be worth small punts, but I had a look and I like myself for just Qarabag to score. Qarabag over 0.5 goals is 173. The bookies just don't trust them whatsoever, and it's not like they haven't seen Qarabag or Newcastle this season based on that.
Well, a lot of trust on Qarabag, indeed. Even in our comments, 𝐿𝐿𝐴 sees Newcastle winning on both things to score, but also Qarabag Asian handicap +2. So a tight game, both things to score for 𝐿𝐴𝐽𝐿, Rajiv, and Newcastle not in good form, so also sees the double chance. And Marco highlighting that we have Newcastle Man City at the weekend and might affect this game. So be careful with the long trip to Baku. Not this cold, Ronan, around 7 degrees, 9 degrees. So I guess it's summertime for a Newcastle fan having 9 degrees in February. For sure it's going to be colder in Norway. Bodo Glimt, Inter. I guess also here many people would think we might see a surprise and we might see Bodo Glimt getting something. The odds are lower actually, but still the double chance could look pretty good. Bodo Glimt, remember, beat Atletico de Madrid away, beat Man City, I would say even destroyed Man City in the last home game, with the strikers 𝐿𝐴𝐽𝐿 scoring and playing really good. This Bodo Glimt, artificial grass or synthetic, remember, in Norway. And we saw Inter, some might say Robin, Juventus, some others would say also being very lucky and playing really bad. 𝐿𝐴𝐽𝐿 finally scored the winner. Finally, they won a big game this season, even if they had to play against them men. And in this Champions League, already lost to Arsenal, Liverpool, and Atletico de Madrid. Ronan, would you trust a little bit Bodo Glimt?
A small bit, I kind of do, because based on what they've done in the Champions League and based on how well they ended the league phase in the Champions League, because this is a team who hasn't played a league game or a domestic game since November. So the only matches they've played in December and January have been Champions League matches, and they came away from all of those with positive results. The two you mentioned, the two kind of surprise wins, and then a 2-2 draw with Borussia Dortmund. So this is a team who can upset teams. They definitely can upset teams in their home stadium because it's that temperature, it's that artificial grass that the players don't necessarily like playing on. These kind of more skillful players from the top 5 leagues maybe don't like traveling there. So Inter, they are kind of thought highly with the bookies. They're thought highly of with the analysis. They have the 3rd best chance of reaching the last 16 from the teams that are in this playoff round. They have a more chance of winning the tournament than teams that have actually qualified already. Sporting and Spurs are into the last 16, but the Inter are being given a better chance of winning the competition than them. 2.7% chance of winning compared to 2.3 for both of those. So there are a lot of things, and a lot of people fancy Inter, and I'm sure Alain can give a better analysis on Inter, having seen that win at the weekend up close. But this Bodo team, they should be well rested. Obviously, they won't be too much fatigued because the Elite Series doesn't start again until March. They are a team who like scoring goals. There's plenty of goals in their matches. Over 2.5 goals has happened in 91% of the matches that they played in kind of the 25-26 period, because I know they have a summer season. So all those games that they played in maybe the first half of last season didn't really count for them when you get that stat. But they've had over 2.5 goals in each of the last 7 games, as well as the 2 friendly games they played, so 9 games that they played in January. So Inter have had over 2.5 goals in each of their last 3 games. And so I'm going with the smart bet here. I like the smart bet again. It's given 4 stars to total goals over 2.5 at 155.
All right, well, it's going to be -3, -4, snowing in Bodo. We have a comment here, Inter are on fire. I'm not sure, Alain, of course they are on fire in Serie A, they are going to win the Scudetto, but I have many doubts about this team.
But when we check the results since the beginning of the season, Inter never won 7 games in a row. And right now, Inter won the last 6. The last 5. No, yes, the last 6, sorry. And yes, I have some doubts because against Juventus in the first half, Juventus play better. And we don't understand really well how Inter want to play against Juventus. Without 𝐬𝐭𝐴, the team suffered, and that one is the biggest news because he entered in the second half and the team changed the mind. But it was a crazy game because Juventus with less player, with 11 player, I have some doubts Inter won that game because Inter was before this was 2 years without winning a direct match with the top team in Italy. And yes, we saw that limit right now playing in Norway. Bodo Glimt is important to remember. Bodo Glimt arrived to this stage because they beat first Manchester City and after Atletico Madrid in Madrid. That one nobody wait for that. And yes, Bodo Glimt probably with the atmosphere, with that type of argue, I think Bodo Glimt can be catch a positive results. In my opinion, Inter will win 7 game in a row. For that, I choose double chance 1x odds 2.24.
All right, we have James going Inter to win, or 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐵 also Inter to win. David, Inter love playing against small teams. Inter to win, correct score 3-1. So most of the people going here for the Nerazzurri. Both teams to score. Well, with Bodo Glimt, we have Jens Hauge, 4 goals scored in this Champions League. And our smart bet tool is going for corners. And then we can check also the other bets. Is double chance 1x 2.27 and goals over 2.5 goals is our smart bet. Could be a tricky game. Why not? It's cold. It's gonna be in artificial grass. It's uncomfortable going there. And as Alain said, they've never won 7 games in a row this season. They are cruising in the Serie A, but it's another story in the Champions League. And let's go to Belgium, Brugge, Atletico de Madrid. I guess you should tell Atletico de Madrid players that this is a Copa del Rey game, and perhaps they play well and win, because it's a very difficult club to understand at this moment in time. In Copa del Rey, we saw them smashing Barcelona in a great first half, beating Betis away 5-0, and then losing this weekend against Rayo Vallecano in a pitiful game 3-0, losing at home against Betis 1-0, losing against Bodo Glimt, drawing against Galatasaray because they had the top 8 in their hand, and with poor Julian Álvarez in general, even if he finally scored against Barcelona. So not sure, Alain, if they could have trouble against Brugge, a team that at home they get some good results this season. They beat 3-0 OM. They drew with Barcelona. They are coming from a derby, by the way. They won the derby in Belgium. Trouble for Atletico de Madrid, or to be honest, it's so difficult to bet on this Atletico this season.
Yes, maybe it's a cup team now, and Atletico suffered especially in against English team this since the beginning of the season, and in Liga. Except that we saw a version. We don't understand exactly the identity of this Atletico. In my opinion, inside of the team, they are preparing a big transition. And the big transition is means the last season of Simeone in the bench, because yes, Alemany, the new sporting director, was pretty clear, no, about the intention of the team. A new socio enter in the finance part of Atletico, and probably is the last season of Simeone. It's the last chance to Simeone to try to win the Champions League, and it's the only trophy Simeone don't win. Simeone changed the history of Atletico Madrid, changed the status. Now with that type of results, Atletico changed the dimension. They build a new stadium. The finance now are really strong. Is unbelievable. Is probably is the team most improve in Europe in that part of the analysis. Now with the structure and with the powder. It's important to remember Atletico are fighting against Real Madrid and Barcelona, not only Spanish giant, there are European giants. Atletico probably in another Liga, in Italy or in Germany, should be win 5 or 6 Liga easily with Simeone in the bench, and that one, in my opinion, affect a little the vestry. Now going to Bruges is like going to the dentist, because we know Bruges is direct football, physical football, discipline, really quick transition. But Atletico feel comfortable against that type of team. And in my opinion, Atletico, and I choose Atletico winning, will be the version of the Atletico in the cup. Atletico winning in Bruges 1.97.
Away from home, there are always many doubts about this Atletico de Madrid in every tournament, but not far from Bruges. Actually, we saw them playing really well in Eindhoven, probably the best game they've played in this Champions League. Ronan, how do you see this one?
Yeah, they haven't been very good on the road in the Champions League this season. They've only got 4 points away from home in the league phase, and Brugge got 7 home points. So yeah, they beat Marseille and Monaco, like you said. So very good against French teams, and they drew with Barcelona. So they showed a bit of what they could do against Spanish teams. This could be a very tricky game for Atletico Madrid. I know some of the commenters are kind of saying they're very unpredictable. Alain said the same. They look like a cup team, and maybe that's what 𝐬𝐭𝐴 is shaping them up to be this season, to end with the biggest trophy of them all. I think the league is obviously beyond them, so the Champions League might be his kind of golden goose or his white whale, like Moby Dick, that he's finally trying to get. But yeah. If you look at this round of games last season, the first kind of taste we had of this kind of Champions League playoff or whatever it is to get into the round of 16 last season. Only 2 of the first legs of the playoff last season had 2 or fewer total goals in them. And if you look at these 2 teams, only one of Brugge's last 7 games have had fewer than 3 goals. And Atletico Madrid, they mightn't be the most consistent team, but they've scored 5 against Betis and 4 against Barcelona already this month. So in the last couple of weeks. So this is a match I think there will be goals in. I'm not going to put my head on the line and say either team is going to win here, but I just think there will be goals in it, and it should set up nicely for a second leg in the reverse fixture. So total goals over 3 comes in at over 2, so 205.
It's not the old Atletico with the deadlock and seeing clean sheets for 𝐬𝐵LACK, even if he's still very good, but the team concedes a lot. Draw is very possible. Atletico Madrid unpredictable. Gondux also both teams to score for this game. Atletico will win with both teams to score. All right. And we have one more game, Olympiacos, Bayer Leverkusen. We also saw this game in the group phase, and Olympiacos won that game. They are not in their best form in the domestic league. Drew at the weekend, lost the derby with Panathinaikos recently, but as I said, they beat 2-0 Leverkusen already, and in the Champions League, 3 consecutive wins with Ajax, Leverkusen, and 𝐻𝐸 to qualify for this round. But for the title, Leverkusen are favorites. They are in a decent moment in the Bundesliga, and they beat, for instance, Man City this season in the Champions League, one of the biggest surprises of the season. But also this Leverkusen, a little bit hit and miss, Ronan?
Yeah, I think you could say that, and that's kind of what you would expect from a season like the one they're having, because obviously they lost so many big players. They lost their kind of head coach that had turned them into a kind of maybe a sleeping giant or an upcoming giant in Europe, and maybe that kind of compares somewhat to what Alain was saying about Diego Simeone with Atletico Madrid. Xabi Alonso kind of made Bayer Leverkusen into a team that could actually win trophies and could win the Bundesliga, could win cups, could get to European finals. He kind of has changed the narrative about this club too. So I think this is a match that they have to do everything in, because they have to be able to be better than Olympiacos over both legs. They have to be able to beat them home and away, because that result last month was just a travesty for them. I know the performance maybe didn't necessarily show that. They had, 15 shots to 6. They had 61% possession. I think they had more than 600 passes, and Olympiacos had 250 or so. So it was a match where on paper, they really should have won it, but they didn't. And these are the kind of games where that maybe inexperience of the coach or the inexperience of the players might come through, and they need to be a team that can win these matches and win them consistently. And that if they want to be one of the best teams in Germany, if they want to be a team that can compete in Europe season in, season out, these are the matches they need to win. And I think they can, because they've shown in recent weeks since that 2-0 defeat, they've kind of looked a bit of a different team at times. They're undefeated in 6, like I said. Smart bet here is going for goals. Total goals over 2.5 has been given 5 stars at 197. I like that, because I think Bayer Leverkusen can score a couple of goals here. Leverkusen win is 297, which I also like the look of as the away team. Leverkusen Asian handicap 0, if you think they can get a point here, or not a point because it's the knockout stage, obviously, but if they think they can get a draw or a positive result heading into the second leg, which I really think they can, because this Bayer Leverkusen team should be better than this Olympiacos team, because this Olympiacos team, I know they bet them last month, but they haven't looked as great since, and they haven't scored in their last 2 games in Greece. So I think Leverkusen will get something from it. So I'm going all in on Leverkusen for this one.
Well, Olympiacos, Alain, at the beginning of the season in the Champions League, we saw a very offensive Olympiacos, creating many chances, conceding also a lot against Barcelona, Real Madrid, but also they were proposing offensive football, and lately we are not seeing many goals. Even in the Champions League, they conceded way less goals. Actually, Mendilibar used to be a defensive coach. I don't know if something has changed in the last weeks.
Well, yes, more than defensive, I think he offered a direct football. Remember when he was an Eibar was so fun to see, because yes, it's really direct football. Team of Mendilibar suffer when they're must to play a positional attacking football, and we saw that since the beginning of the season in Greece is a problem, because against PAOK, against Panathinaikos, against Levadiakos is actually the fourth best team in Greece. When they made the game, they suffer, and they don't find solution to score. In the synopsis, Leverkusen is the best team Olympiacos can be meet right now, and maybe for Leverkusen too, it's Olympiacos a really good game to play. But we must to record 1 month ago they played each other, and Olympiacos win 2-0 against Leverkusen. And it's true, now after this game something changed in Leverkusen, because in 6 games only a draw and 5 victory for Leverkusen, with high average of goal score, and that right now is a good moment now to understand where can Leverkusen arrive or compete this season, because they have a strong possibility to go back to Champions League, but the fighting against Leipzig and Stuttgart and we can include Hoffenheim can be really funny, but you must to have a positive row. And since the beginning of the season, in the last week, yes, but since the beginning of the season is not the case in Leverkusen. In spite of that, in my opinion, Olympiacos can score at home, and Leverkusen can score in Athena, in the 𝐵 and for that I choose both teams to score, odds 1.71.
Well, only 1 month ago, Leverkusen lost 2-0, 2 goals scored in the first half. 𝐿𝐵𝐴 going for a draw here, and Tony going for all-in on Leverkusen to take the revenge in El Pireo. All right, 8 games this week. Remember the reverse fixtures to be played the following week. So we are going to know very soon which are the teams qualifying for the last 16 round in this Champions League. Now, time for me to remind you that you have the chance to put your bets in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions. Is completely free to register in our website, and you just can participate in our tipster competitions and win some money. Same for Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. All right, let's go with our safe bets. Ronan?
I'm going for Dortmund and Atlanta to have over 1.75 goals. That's at 125.
Wow, the book is really expect goals in this type. And Alain, your
Galatasaray Juve.
Sorry, safe bet.
Galatasaray Juve over 1.75 goals, odds 1.30.
And now ACCA's Ronan.
My ACCA is Real Madrid to win and Leverkusen Asian handicap 0 at 4.22.
And Alain Valnegri.
Real Madrid winning, Atletico Madrid winning, Olympiacos Bayer Leverkusen, both teams to score for a total 6.56.
I hope you guys are right in your ACCA. It would mean Madrid is beating Mourinho. Thank you, Alain, Ronan. Thanks everyone for watching and good luck. Enjoy the Champions League. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.